Welcome to another episode of Arbor Culture. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to raise your prices and actually get more work because of it. So the reason I'm recording this is one of the biggest grievances that I get when talking to arborists around the country is that they feel their service is undervalued. They're always getting undercut by other companies, and they're not willing to go broke trying to undercut everyone else. And I always say to them, look, you've got to sell your business. You've got to sell your services. You obviously sound like you have a superior service. Why aren't you selling it in the quoting process? And I ask them how they go through their quoting process, and it sounds pretty vanilla. It sounds just like the way everyone else is doing it. So if you're going to stand out, there's a few things that you can do to stand out from the bunch to charge higher prices. We all know there are companies out there that are doing it. There's those medium to larger companies who are charging twice as much as you are and still getting work. How are they doing it? Okay, and it is all about how you sell your services. So basically, if you were just turning up to a quote, you're looking at the job, and you're giving the customer a price. Maybe there's a bit of talk in between. You say, how you going? Yep, we can do that. We can do it really quickly. We can do it tomorrow. We can do it next week. And then giving a price. Then essentially all you are doing is competing on price. If you're not, it's a pretty basic service. It's removing branches, removing a tree. So if you're not giving them a reason to go with you and you're just giving them a price, then it stands to reason that they're going to select three companies who are just giving price based on their prices. So you need to give them more reason to go with you. So let's take an example. We all know that any product or service in the world has a different price points. Look at a smartphone. An iPhone's right at the top of the scale, and maybe a Huawei or another brand I've never heard of is at the bottom. But a lot of us own the smartphone and the Samsung. Now, that isn't just perceived value. They are better value. They are better quality. Same with cars. Eating at a restaurant, you could also argue, carries a better quality of meal, service, location, that type of things. But what about a service? How are we going to do it with a service? So there's three main things that you can focus on when selling your service, and we're going to go through them now. So first up, you need to educate the customer. So if you, for example, have a higher skill level than your peers, if you've got a diploma or a Cert 5 in arboriculture, that's something you need to pitch to your customer. If you've got machinery or techniques that you use that is going to reduce the time, the amount of risk. Another thing that you have to sell to the customer, have you got more insurance? The industry standard's 10 million. Some people carry 5 million. Other people carry 20 million. All these things add to perceived value. Okay, you're all doing the same service. Someone's going to call you in. They're going to get a minimum of 3 quotes. So obviously you need to pitch your business. You need to pitch your skill level, your machinery, your crew, how educated they are, the certificates you have. All that kind of thing adds up. And on that note, if you are one of these companies that when you turn up to quote, you just write the quote on the back of a card and hand it to the customer, I urge you to stop. Look, that worked well 20 years ago, but look, we're in the 21st century. Word processing is super easy. Everyone knows how to use email. I suggest either you can handwrite the quote up on if you've got a proper quote book, that's fine. But I do suggest that you tell the customer you're going to email them the quote that day. You send through all your certificates, insurance papers, and any other information that you want to give them along with the quote. It looks a lot more professional and speaks volumes for if you're giving that amount of quality just in the quoting process, they can see the quality of your business and the amount of quality that you're probably going to give them in the service you provide. Okay, so that's number one. What else? Number two is literally what else can you give them? Okay, there's a company getting around Sydney and they literally, the whole thing about their business is giving the mulch back to the customer free. Okay, so the customer can literally see a gum tree standing in their yard, and then when the gum tree's gone, the mulch is spread through the garden. Now, how long is it going to take your guys with wheelbarrows to spread the mulch through the customer's garden? Maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour to do a good job. But that customer is going to go and they're going to tell 5 or 10 of their friends, or if any of their friends have trees that need removing, they're going to go, hey, I've got this guy that I used. Do you want them to say, hey, he was really cheap? Oh, no, you've got to use these guys. What they do is they take down the tree and they'll spread it all through your garden. They'll literally do it for you. Great service. You need bragging rights. You need to do something that's going to give the customer more. So maybe you can, if they back on a bushland, maybe you can even go that next step further and provide, I don't know, 4 cubic or 2 cubic meters or 1 cubic meter of sugarcane mulch. Sugarcane mulch is cheap as chips, and it protects against white ants. White ants can't stand it. If you've got that spread through the gardens, it'll keep them away. Again, something very small value that you're literally giving them, and it sets you apart from the other companies. You could be charging $300, $400, $500 more for a $2,000 or $3,000 tree removal, but the perceived value that you're heaping on top, with your safety, with your skill level, with the professionalism of your crew, all these little things are all going to add up. There was another company I remember talking to, must have been about 6 months ago in Perth. I can't think of the name. The owner's name was Robbie. But anyway, he has this thing where he actually focuses the customer's attention on what the community will be losing when he takes a tree down, and that he actually provides a service of replanting the tree. Now, the good part about this is that most councils give away Australian native trees for free. So all you got to do is go down to the council and let them know that you're going to be planting 5 or 10 trees, pick up your saplings, and then when you go and do jobs, every time you do a job, tell the customer, hey, would love to plant you a tree. It doesn't have to be a huge eucalypt. It can be another Australian native, but would love to do this for you. Look, a lot of the times too, he said that the customers don't want it, but that actually suits him more, because then he can go around the street and put in each of the letterbox a notification saying, look, we're about to lose a very important part of our urban forest. It does X, Y, and Z. It reduces the heat island effect. It's good for Australian natives. We would love to be able to replace it with a free tree planting. Would you like us to come around and plant the tree? So obviously that it adds huge value to the whole street, not just the customer. And again, it's bragging rights. It's something that's going to set you apart from the rest. Something the customer can talk about, perceive value, something you're doing extra. If you're doing that and spreading the mulch around, you're going to look a lot better in the customer's eyes, and again, they're going to be willing to pay a lot more for your high quality of service and the perceived value they're getting than just someone rocking up, writing a quote on the back of the card saying we're the cheapest, we're the best. There's actually another guy in South Australia I was talking to recently. He's a landscaper, and he's got his own language for when he's installing things like retaining walls, or when he's doing turf. One of the things he was using, instead of a retaining wall, he calls it an earth retention unit. So it's little things like this that literally separate you from everyone else. Everyone else is calling it tree pruning service. Why aren't you calling it a master prune service? It's these little things that are going to separate you from the crowd. You'll probably actually find that you'll be getting more work, and especially word of mouth. This stuff really kills with word of mouth, because you're giving your customers something to talk about. Customers love getting on social media and talking about what kind of deal they just got, or oh, look at my gardens, or look at my house without the... All these kind of things, it really does help with word of mouth. So I highly recommend you look at the language that you use to sell your services to customers. It makes a huge difference. All right, guys, I hope this has helped. That's it for this episode. Please feel free to comment, send me a message. But yeah, look, best of luck with raising your prices. Remember, it's not all about competing on price. You can raise your prices and seriously get more work because of it. All right, guys, best of luck. This is Ben.